Time review show. Welcome to the new show. It's not really a new show, it's the old show. I'm Ross Bodhi. We have a special guest today. We're going to bring him out in a few minutes, guys. PXM Bruv, AK Gaz, AK Mosh Shinobi. Check out the links below. Subscribe to Mosh Shinobi. What up, Fire Pixie? Shout out to everybody who came through. This is the Point Break 1991 review, PXF Classic Series. The Steelbook, 4K Steelbook is out now. We have the link below. You can go get that on Amazon if you use Amazon. Forgot to grab it before we started, guys, so I'm going to hop in my rocket ship real quick.
Okay, all good. So shout out to Fire Pixie, those for coming through again. Welcome.
Just had to beam over there real quick and grab this for you guys. So let's see if we can put it. There we go. Can't really see it too good with the blur, but that's the new Steelbook. Just dropped. Love that background, guys, with the rain poster with the money dollars. Yeah, thank you. So this only problem, Fire Pixie, I'm not Ross today. This special episode is hosted by, I'm not going to have any comms here, guys, but
this is going to be painful for me, man. I'm going to have to be formal.
Full effect.
Hey,
Bodhi,
Mr. President.
1991. Everybody freeze! You want me and fucking PXF special? Me and Gaz want the money? I have no idea if you can hear me, guys. Let's try this, guys. I'm your special co-host, Bodhi.
Don't suffocate yourself in sweat live. That would be a good start.
Good stuff. Anyway, guys, we'll bring Bodhi back on in a minute, but we just want to kick it off, make it hype for you guys. Like, sub, share. Start the review momentarily, but Bodhi's going to come back for the outro. President Reagan. I'm not a crook. It's messing up my beautiful hair, guys. So the thing. Yeah, we don't have the full makeup casting crew today.
Well, we do what we can.
Yeah, we busted out Bodhi for you, Fire Pixie. I hope that was that's
still
all.
Better than some Hollywood at the moment.
Yeah. We couldn't do hair and makeup, but you saw what we did with props and special effects right there, and I think it was pretty impressive. You guys.
I do. Yeah, I was very impressed. I mean, I felt that presence. It was like Bodhi had returned, and I was waiting for you to get a spiritual lecture as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we'll cover that secret ending because maybe that was the Point Break 2 sequel right there. So without further ado, we really don't have much news. Like we told you guys, we're still in a little testing phase. I'll post some Zodiac research when I feel like it. Gaz and I are going to do a dual stream test show very soon, perhaps next weekend, guys. Once you finish up those Ninja Kamui episodes, we'll get back to martial arts and martial arts action, all that crap. But you know what I mean? We're just gonna do some light testing. Let us know how audio and video sounds, Pixie, because as we said, we are under the new platform. But I'm your special guest host, Ross Bodhi. Without further ado, Point Break 1991. This is a PXF classic. You guys know the legend. If anybody wants to play Payday 3 with me, I'm definitely on Steam, so you can get at me about that. As far as the heist games, I think there's some new ones coming out soon. The Point Break synopsis. An FBI agent goes undercover to catch a gang of surfers who may be bank robbers. And you guys know the legendary cover. Keanu Reeves, Pat Swayze, with the ex-presidents there. It's directed by Kathryn Bigelow, who at the time was married to James Cameron. James Cameron is the person who found this script. I have more on the production and the writing. I've actually met the writer of this, as Gaz knows. Shout out to John Philbin. He's been a regular on Lauren, our horror correspondent, Lauren Lapree's channel, Average Superstar TV. Amazing interviews over there. They talked a lot of horror. One thing I found about Philbin Gaz is like he's like the Hollywood like surf instructor. So he's like kind of like a fight choreographer is for fight movies. He's like the dude that instructs anybody that's going to be surfing in a Hollywood production. So there actually is quite a few surfing movies that he worked on leading up to Point Break, and I've been meaning to watch those. And we could, should you guys care to, we could discuss those at the end when we move on to other subjects. But there's obviously a lot going into Point Break. We could get Gaz's initial thoughts. I know he's seen it a few times as well.
Yeah, it's just the tone, the way it opens. that grabs you instantly as well. You've just got a sense of the substance, the soul that the film has as well. Getting to the Bodhi's charisma, which we'll delve into as well. So it's just captivating from the start for me.
I agree. I mean, I think segueing off Gaz's point is the pacing. One thing I'm always blown away. Like, one thing about Point Break is, like, once you've seen it 20, 40, 50, 60 times, like a Point Break fanboy like me is, you already know the best parts are like Act 2 and Act 3, so you're already anticipating the best scenes. So you have a tendency to let that early first character building story arc act kind of fly by. And one thing I pick up different stuff every time. We always say that on our rewatches, and I've been saying that I'm gonna, where possible, I'm gonna make the 4K Steelbook watches happen for you guys. But the dialogue, some of that early dialogue, Gaz, was killing me. One thing I noticed on previous rewatches was like how outdated some of that 90s music was. I don't mean the actual score, but like the soundtrack. Like, Gaz knows what the difference is, like soundtrack or the actual songs, whereas the score is like background music and stuff. Yeah. So like some of the 90s music, I was like, man, I never noticed how bad some of that stuff was. But this time it was really the dialogue, just like that early first act back and forth dialogue. I was like, man, some of this stuff is just hilariously entertaining,
To come in on that point, it's one of the early Keanu Reeves roles, and it's, in all fairness, it's good. Patrick Swayze does such an awesome job of Bodhi, and Gary Busey is good as well, because they carry it, because this isn't Keanu's finest performance, to be honest. It really shows he's green. Some of that dialogue is very, very cheese, very cringe actually, but you can't help laugh. It kind of I'll tell you what it reminds me of. Maybe I can put this on PXF Classics actually, since this is another movie we've always talked about, folks. It reminds me of that scene in Predator 2. Captain Harrigan, Gary Busey with the dialogue exchange. It reminds me of that when Keanu first, when he first gets transferred. Obviously to his new assignment, and he meets his superiors, and just that exchange, and some of it is hilarious. And even though Keanu's dialogue is pretty cheese, to be honest, it's still got that amusing, gripping quality. And compared to now, some parts you could say effects, etc., could be dated, but it has soul. As I said, it has substance. As you said, Act 2 and Act 3 is where the action is, but you are patiently watching the build-up and them establishing that relationship that's going to come between Bodhi and Keanu's character, and I think it's worth it. It really is.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, Gaz made some interesting points there. So in a lot of ways, like as we were just saying, Bodhi carries this movie. He's actually even listed first on the cast at the end, which you think, like, Johnny Utah is obviously the main character. He's obviously the good guy. Why would Patrick Swayze be listed over him in the cast? But like in a lot of ways, Bodhi's the star of the movie, even though the camera doesn't really follow his story arc throughout the movie the way it follows Utah's. And then Bodhi kind of has those interspliced scenes, kind of in and out between following Utah and Pappas's investigation. But like right off the rip, like Gaz said, I mean, the amazing pacing. It introduces you to Utah and Pappas. They have like a funny moment together of him crapping on the new rookie agent, and then right off the bat it introduces the ex-presidents, like one of their heists. And that's the thing, it's like, after you've seen it so many times, this might really not stick out to somebody on their first watch, but as you've seen it so many times, it's like they introduced that ex-president's heist, then they introduced Bodhi and his band of surfers. And even though you haven't seen Reagan with his mask off, you've heard him talk. You kind of know that's, spoiler alert, guys, fast forward if there's need to, but you kind of know that's Bodhi, right? By the time they introduced Bodhi, you kind of already knew he was right. It doesn't show him till about halfway through as Reagan, but like, it's kind of obvious. There's no other reason the storyline would be following, which makes it awesome, like it's
Do you think at that point said, I know this, I'm kind of going to go in a little early on this, is just the whole concept of the ex-presidents. That's something that everyone I've ever met who's a fan of this movie always talks about always remembers that. Oh, I said, oh man, yeah, that's with the ex-presidents. And that's kind of, I feel, helped make it iconic and elevate it because it's memorable. And we sit in the fence. If you think about it, probably with the budget, etc. Look, simple idea, and I'm not being patronizing there, ex-president mask, etc. But it works. It really does. I mean, come on, man, they're doing Heist as ex-presidents. I think that's awesome.
No, it's as Gaz said, it's maybe the most iconic concept of Point Break. Like that's why, like, just look at the steelbook cover. Like Gaz said, what's on the cover? Bodhi and the Reagan mask with the explosion in the background, and then them with the masks on. And so the whole branding, the whole basically logo is kind of, like Gaz has seen. Or you guys saw it in Zodiac Files episode 4. Who's the worst out of the two, Keanu Reeves or Nicolas Cage? Well, Nicolas Cage is an Oscar winner, Pixie, so it'd be rather difficult to make the argument that he's the worst of the two. At least by the American filmmaking standard. Keanu is incredible. Gaz and I love him. Nicolas Cage, arguably a much better resume, so it'd be rather tough. Who makes the better vampire movie? Renfield versus Dracula, Bram Stoker, Francis Ford Coppola. Tough to say.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Better action. Keanu has way better action. John Wick and Point Break versus The Rock. And
I'm going to admit something live now, and I'm going to go back to this review. I'm going to admit this. Yo, what up, Slipknot fan? I've even seen Captain Mandalelli's whatever it was called with Cage in, where it was like a romance movie in World War II. I've even seen that, so that should say how much like I respect the dude.
Yeah. But where were we before we got derailed right there?
We were on about the iconic status of the
yeah, absolutely. So no, for sure. It's like it's everything. It's the suits, and then we could talk about that influence with the iconic heist films being and Mac. We really should have had you on this one because I know Mac loves Point Break. Reservoir Dogs, where they do heists in suits. Point Break, where they do heists in suits. All of that influences Payday. Heat being the other big heist movie, Heat, and Heat influenced Dark Knight. So I don't know, like even Dead Presidents. If you were to ask people like what heist movie they think of, if Reservoir Dogs slipped past a lot of people, I bet you they would say Point Break, like Gaz was just saying, or Heat. Those are the those are kind of the accurate one. And what the way Kathryn Bigelow shot the heist, it's we'll talk about it later when we talk about the chase scene, Gaz. But it's kind of that. I'd almost describe it as a first person angle, like we were saying with other movies, but it's like right over the shoulder of their backs. Like when they come through the beginning of the bank, she pans up to the title of the bank or the front door, and then follows their shoulders as they come through the front. You know what I mean? If you notice little angles like that, really quite incredible. I'd even go as far as to say Kathryn Bigelow is a underrated, slept on director. As far as this action genre, and we really haven't even gotten to any of the other extreme concepts. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff about production, but I mean, we just kind of, if you guys have any questions about that, just feel free to jump in. But it's also very 90s. It's like I think 122 minutes long, guys, which I think is like perfect length as opposed to all the new crap we've been forced to watch lately. That's 3.5 to 4 hours long. And definitely shout out to the writers. Where's the hell? Yeah. So it says it's 2 hours and 2 minutes, but honestly, it's the fastest 2 hours of your life.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it. It's not like sat in the theater with some of the recent releases where it's like, man, you feel like you've been there for 4 hours.
Yeah. What's this about the remake here, guys? Joey, sir. Never mentioned that.
I was diplomatic.
Never mentioned that remake on this. Joey, you're my man. Joey's my man. Don't ever mention that remake on this channel. It doesn't exist much. So what you were saying earlier, guys, about the cheese, 90s dialogue. I was going to make the Point Break comparison. Not the Point Break, the Roadhouse comparison. And of course, we need our Of course, we need our boy Lauren back to do Roadhouse OG. But quite similar there. We talked about that connection with Lauren when Johnny Utah makes that Patrick's Roadhouse reference in Point Break. You know what I mean? So there's a little. That's a little. I'm sure that's under IMDb trivia. But yeah, I mean, I can understand how people would think like the Johnny and Tyler relationship is cringe when he's learning to surf and he needs her to be the contact to get him into the surf culture. There is a couple rough moments there on the way in, but as you said, it builds up pretty fast. Yeah. I mean, I heard it's not terrible, but it'll never be spoken of here.
Yeah, I was being like diplomatic, man. For me, that's a movie I never want to have to relive, and that's all I'm going to say.
I'll never watch it.
Yeah,
I'll never watch it. Yeah, I mean, Pixie's quite right about this. Fantastic, Raising Arizona, pretty good, and Leaving Las Vegas. Wait, hold on, what do you mean that is all? You don't like The Rock, Pixie? All right, let's go. Point Break on review on pause for a second. Let's just list fire Nick Cage movies, Gaz, of which there's many. Have you seen Mandy, Pixie? Please answer in the chat whether or not you've seen Mandy, Pixie, because Mandy's absolutely insane, Actually, wait, we've been through this. Haven't we been through all this before with you, Pixie? I swear I recall mentioning Mandy to you.
Yeah.
And that's just a new Nick Cage. That's not even The Rock.
Ghost Rider, I felt that. Ghost Rider was all right.
Con Air? She doesn't like Con Air? Con Air is fire.
Yeah, Bangkok Dangerous as well. That was fire.
Yeah.
Nice. Slipknot fan just said Kathryn Bigelow directed The Hurt Locker too.
I don't think I've seen that, but I always hear about it when Kathryn Bigelow comes up. But anyway, she's obviously epic. Yeah, clearly a fire job in this. Of course, what's his name? John C. McGinley is the FBI director, and the ridiculous monologue he has at the beginning, Gaz, when he encounters Utah.
Yeah, that scene. That's the scene I was referring to. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
Johnny Utah just like meets his captain, and man, I love that scene.
Yeah. That dude has the funniest. I'm pretty sure he said he still remembers it when people ask him about reciting it. You know what I mean? But stacked cast, of course, like Gary Busey as Pappas, as Gaz was saying. But yeah, let me see. I did the professional CNN thing, and I took some notes for this one for you guys. But yeah, I mean, you have the car chase early on. Utah starts. He meets Bodhi. He starts getting into the surf sessions with them. And it just kind of pans back and forth between that and him and Pappas's investigation for a while. They get the one car early on when Utah's asking Pappas about his theory. The other guys kind of crack on him for the surfing theory, Yeah. So,
no, sorry, go on, my guy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, this I wasn't going to say anything important. So this was okay. Slipknot. I still think Mandy was better though. Mandy was. Haven't seen Matchstick Men, or maybe I did see some of it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you guys can feel free to chime in with your Point Break ratings. I mean, what about pacing for you guys? What do you think are the high points on the way to kind of that act 2 where stuff starts to heat up?
Yeah, or I could see how someone could say the pacing is a bit slow, but to be honest, it didn't bother me. I think they established the relationship between Utah and Bodhi. The love interest with Laurie Petty, who later I think went on to star in that terrible movie Tank Girl. Which, that's definitely not going to be on the PXF classic list. So forget that.
No, it's not. Over my dead body.
I think it's on Max, but that's not something we really want to do.
Better fight back on that, Mac.
Max is a big fan of Tank Girl. I'm going to get that, Lammy. Anyway.
I don't know anybody who's ever I don't think I've ever heard Pappas being a favorite character, but the roster is so stacked between, like we said, John Philbin, Nathaniel, Utah, Bodhi, Pappas, McGinley. It's just so many sick characters. But so eventually Pappas and Bodhi have the soil sample from the dude sliding across the bank. Of course. This is the Heist series. much like Point Break, this is a PXF classic. I know for a fact Mac has Reservoir Dogs in his PXF classics list. If we ever see you again on the channel, Mac, let us know. But yeah, no. Busey was awesome. It was no disrespect to Pappas. Busey was absolutely epic. So they have the soil samples, so they need to go around collecting the hair samples to test the beaches, Gaz. So that's what leads us to the fight with War Child and his mod squad. And of course, there's the Red Hot Chili Peppers cameo for some mainstream music reference, Gaz, whatever that guy's name is. I heard he had some complications with that role.
Yeah, and what I liked as well, and people
Anthony, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I liked how we got the chance where Swayze got to do some martial arts chops as well in this, because you saw that the only previous time before that, because he kind of got typecasted in some romance movies as well after Dirty Dancing, etc. But
Ghost.
I think was that movie. I know my dad liked it. Was it For Valor or something like that? I know it had Valor in the title, and I think he was part of a mercenary team, and that showcased some of his martial arts chops in that movie. So I like that in Point Break that we got to see that a little. I guess this is kind of my martial arts background talking, but sometimes when I know it's an actor who's got those chops and we don't get to see it much in movies, I'm like, man, please someone give this dude or dudette a chance just to shine. So I like that, and it comes in with a save, and that it kind of starts the brotherly setup between Utah and Bodhi. But it's nicely done, man.
Yeah. Answering Drew B said, I mean, Braden has 800, 900 jumps, but for Point Break purposes, we never go against Bodhi. So what I mean? It's Bodhi all day. Of course, Bodhi took the more risk. I mean, we don't know. Who jumped with more money? That's the better question, Drew. Did Braden have the 200K, or did Bodhi jump more with more cash from the bank robberies? No doubt. So ultimately, they go to stake out hold on. So what the War Child bus that has another important cameo, guys. Tom Sizemore is the undercover. Spoiler alert, guys. Skip it if you don't need to know. Tom Sizemore. He was the DEA agent, guys, when Pappas and Bodhi messed up his undercover investigation.
Yeah, that whole scene is hilarious as well and very entertaining.
Yeah, he's like, you think I like these clothes? He's like, you think I like? He's like, I want to get a haircut. He's like, you think my wife likes this? He's like, nice tattoo. He's like, yeah, thank you. The cop dialogue is probably one of the funniest parts of this movie. Then, of course, the Johnny Utah hand-to-hand fight, guys, out the window to the lawnmower. What do you try to knife him?
Yeah, that was fire. Did you notice as well? I mean, it's like I'm going ultra nerdy here. Like everyone else gets relatively messed up, I guess, but Keanu still seems to look pretty cool and clean.
Yeah, that's the Johnny Utah thing, man. Yeah. Football star, baby. He's an athlete. Yeah. And then, of course, Gaz said, like in the War Child fight, like the thing I love about Swayze throwing those Muay Thai kicks is the dude has his surf wetsuit on halfway down. And he's still throwing those Muay Thai kicks. I'm like, dude has his wetsuit halfway on. And he's throwing freaking Muay Thai combos. I'm like, dude, I can't. Oh no, that's a sick emoji Slipknot. Whoa! So after that investigation, of course, Johnny has gone to Bodhi's place. They played the football game, so he's been morning surfing with them a couple times. And because I forget which dude it is that keeps mooning the camera, it's not Rosie, it's Roach, right? I think it's Roach.
Yeah.
So because Roach is surfing while mooning, Utah is able to put together that they're the heist crew because Roach mooned the camera at the robbery on the security camera. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a funny way to break the case. He's like, look at his tan line. They're surfers.
yeah, but it just adds in that humor as well from that time, which again makes it very entertaining. That's why again we made the references with Predator 2, Roadhouse OG as well. A lot of the movies from that time. I think, I mean, it was the classic we covered, The Crow, the other week. That was one of the few, I think, where it really had that serious, darker tone that didn't go in so much adding in the humor for obvious reasons, given its
same year. What Crow was?
I think it was The Crow. Was The Crow 92?
A couple of years, Crow. It's 94, I guess. So
okay, we were a few years out then.
It's not that far off. They're still pretty close. So yeah, when they go to I think this is really where the plot heats up. And if you guys don't want to hear plot elements, feel free to do what you got to do. Fast forward or whatever you got to do to avoid the spoiler. Also, I want to mention that Point Break is on YouTube free with ads. So if you haven't seen it, I think it's also on Prime. You should be able to stream it most places. But if you just want to watch it like free stream with ads, I believe it is on YouTube Movies. So it's another place you guys can watch it if you haven't seen it. But buy yourself a 4K player and buy the Steelbook like I did. Because honestly, guys, the clarity on the 4K, like, I told you guys I would try to compare it. And with Point Break, it was like next level. It's basically it's a Dolby restoration. It might not even say it on here. But it's like the high quality render is insane, bro. It's the clearest I've ever seen it look.
I need to get it, man, because I've just got the standard version, and I was curious if you really would see the difference.
Crazy clear.
And as well in Australia on that wave. Yeah.
Even compared to the Blu-ray as well, because when you buy it's like a 2-pack, so that's the Blu-ray, but the 4K is in my player right now. So you get both discs. Like if you have a Blu-ray player, you're good. But this okay. Well, this guy's the man then, because the Blade score was epic, and the Point Break talked really score too much. But the Point Break score was incredible, bro. This is nice call on that Subnapa show. So this is where it turns up for me. So this is the famous. They're staking out the bank because Utah thinks he cracked it for Pappas. He thinks they need one more run to get the money and run. End of the summer, and this is basically like the car chase, the sick car chase, which I'd put this car chase up there with like Bullet, French Connection, like any of the famous action movie car chases. I mean, it's not quite as long as those those super famous ones, but that's because it's a much longer sequence with the car chase to the foot chase, and all that different stuff in between, which the whole fire blowing up that's like the car on fire on the cover. That's basically that scene when Bodhi torches it at the gas station. So it's the Utah get me. This is the music during the skydive is crazy. We'll come to that. Score was great. The Utah get me two meatball subs. Utah get me two, and then that's like the way they shot that whole scene. Daz is like. It's got the Lincoln in the back, like the whole. It's like 15 minutes long. I was like, "Were you gonna turn around at some point and see that they just parked right in front of?" I mean, that one's a little bit like, damn, but the pacing is sick, like.
Yeah. I noticed that too. I always do, but the pacing, as you said, is sick.
Right.
But because it's so entertaining, you just overlook those few glitches.
Agreed. Everything doesn't need to be 100% realistic in Point Break, and the stuff that is realistic works for the most part. But like I was saying, I think that one right there, the kind of each time is probably similar to Heat, and although you don't really see the heist scene in Reservoir Dogs, but the way she pans up to like the name of the bank and then over their shoulders as they come through the door, and then they do that again later on with Utah. But that Pappas and Johnny chase him. They chase him to the gas station. Bodhi blows out a tire on the what do you call those things? The spikes, the spikes, and he drives into the gas station. Dude, that whole gas station scene is so insane and sick. Just like, you know what I mean? Like if you all the little things that happen. So when he pulls up, the dude flexes on him, and like Bodhi has the gun on that gas station attendant, and then he's like torching the car to get rid of the evidence. and then they pistol whip that other dude. They steal his car. So like there's a lot that happens right in that little sequence. Like if you're not paying attention, it's like boom, boom, boom. There's a bunch of like, and then obviously Johnny catches up to him and tackles Bodhi. But like that, just like the hand-to-hand, like kind of hand-to-hand scramble, like Gaz was saying right there. It's like that's a lot of choreography just in that gas station scene. You know what I mean? Which makes it, the detail is what makes this movie so good. Is I guess is my point. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's had an influence on lots of movies that have followed as well, which we can see. And it kind of it's an interesting way of showing the relationship between Utah and Bodhi, even when they're facing off against each other. Later, you know, when Utah falls, damages his knee. Spoiler alert, folks. And Bodhi's running off in the background and have that glance back at each other. That's what I think definitely stands out with Point Break as well, that they're always showing that dichotomy between the two, that even though these guys kind of do become friends, they are still going to have to face off against each other.
It's a lot. I would compare that to Robert De Niro and Al Pacino's character in Heat, where they have that sit down face to face. Like Gaz said, they're like adversaries, but they respect each other. Basically, like, hey, I'm doing my job, you're doing your job. If we don't cross paths, it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? If we do, then I got to do my side and take you down. Your side is to get. That's basically what they say to each other. Like Gaz said, it's very similar with even though Bodhi's kind of like mentoring Utah, and he's, you know, it's almost kind of like a Luke Vader type thing where Bodhi's kind of trying to like get him to the dark side to see if he can get him to switch sides, you know, and just leave the agency and just become one of them or whatever, which, you know, seems like it could be a 50-50 possibility in this movie, as Gaz was saying, you know.
He's dressed for that part, I guess, if you like, Sensi Surfer, because if you look at the martial art movies from that time, they all had those like big kind of pants that kind of look like they're always expanding. The
parachute pants.
Yeah. Same with the top. That's what it reminded me of as well. So I thought he just looks like he's walked out of one of those martial arts action movies from that
time. And of course, the foot chase, as Gaz was saying. So I want to say a little bit more about the foot chase. So that's actually not Pat Swayze in that foot chase. It's a stand-in actor for him. Pat Swayze wanted to do the sprint, but then because he had, you know, shooting other movies or whatever the case may be. So they showed him the footage, and he was like, he thought it was good enough, you know, because he wanted to do the sprint himself just to make it like 100% authentic Bodhi. But they showed it to him. He's like, that's pretty good. And even the camera angle right when that starts, it's kind of like that first person thing that of both of their backs sprinting and kind of pans back and forth, as Gaz was saying. So that shooting, that angle shooting is very, very dynamic in that foot chase. People always bring up how Bodhi throws the dog at Johnny, and Johnny kicked it, Gaz.
But it's funny. I mean, you could be ultra picky, but it's funny, and even I'm going to sound horrible. Someone's going to get on, probably getting our cases now, be like, "Oh, are you laughing at that?" Hurting
animals. Like obviously, the actor didn't really kick a dog. I mean, pretty fairly obvious in that point. But
again, bro, it's got that humor from that time. You know, I refer to Predator 2, for example, that scene in Predator 2 where the Predator is in the bathroom and it's kind of like trying to heal himself, and you've got the old lady and she's saying like, "Oh, there's someone in the bathroom," and she's like sneaking out, and the next thing the Predator just goes running down the corridor as well. But it's that humor that makes that movie into the same in Point Break, and I just think it adds in a bit of that warmness, and it certainly amps up the feel. So for me, that just made me laugh.
We could point out, I think Honest Trailers did Point Break, and I'm pretty sure he mentioned that, which, you know, it's Honest Trailers thing to do. And then I think kind of the mythos and the ethos of the film, we haven't really talked about the spirituality, but I think that moment peaks when Gaz was saying, because Utah had Bodhi in his sights, even though he was down from the knee injury, Bodhi had to climb the fence. So that's why Bodhi was looking back at him to see what Utah would do, like Gaz was saying. And Utah just got frustrated, and just because he wanted to catch him, he didn't want to shoot him in the back running away. Yeah. So he just emptied his clip into the sky. There's a bit more to that, you know, back and forth, as Gaz was saying, because that's when they zoomed up on Bodhi's eye in the Reagan mask, because Bodhi wanted to see what Utah would do. So So when the next is Utah sitting with the radio guy, and then Pappas pulls him into his office, he's like, it's the follow-up to that scene, as Gaz was saying, there's only two things that would have caused you to miss: fear, or you're getting too close to Bodhi and the crew. And he's like, I don't think you were scared. So Gaz said, Utah told him he missed. He obviously didn't miss the shot. So and
random point, isn't that that scene where they're glancing back at each other, that particular my mind's just mentally evaporated now, which is great. I guess that.
Dude, we'll let Slipknot save you, because Gaz has the brain of a British Joe Biden. Slipknot fan. The guy Bodhi sprayed with gasoline has been in a lot of films. He's worked with John Carpenter a few times. I think he was at the Alien at the very end of They Live. It's the Hey Baby guy. We got They Live coming up for you soon in our PXF Classics. Of course, I have the Steelbook. Shout out to Wall Street for hooking that up. But yeah, dude, you know your stuff, Slipknot. That's awesome. Anyway, I love Carpenter. I love They Live. That's cool that dude is in all those.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's that road, I guess, that they used in all the movies. It was in Terminator 2. It's in everything, man. And I just mentally evaporated and forgot the name of it, but it's in everything.
It's a what now?
It's the whole, the scene where the like what we've just been describing, the end of the chase, where they glance back at each other, that location there, that's in.
It's L.A. gutters. That's the rain gutters. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about where Arnold breaks through the fence and he's reloading the shot. That's like that's been in tons of stuff. I want to say maybe even Falling Down, but it's in like every L.A. movie, like Gaz was saying. And this is a classic LA movie. So, we covered all that stuff. So that pretty much leads us to the next scene of the Bodhi and the gang, the ex-presidents on the beach. It's the us against the system speech. This is another moment that culminates the spirituality mythos of the film, much like Gaz was saying earlier on, after the war child fight, when Bodhi gives them like the, they live to get radical, and, you still haven't figured, like the surfing philosophy, you still haven't figured out what it's all about. It's the only place where you lose and find yourself at the same time. And then Utah comes back with the you're not going to start chanting and crap, are you? So that's that part. Then earlier it's the basically talking about the anarchist philosophy, and basically the rest of his gang is telling him I thought so. He's telling him, the gang is telling him, like, you're scared. He's like, all this does is up the stakes of the game. And now they're telling him, like, dude, it's a like rostered FBI agent. You're involving him in the heist. And they're telling him, like, they want to just cut and run. And he's like, no, we can't run away. And it kind of doubles down on, like, so Bodhi's kind of psychopathic superiority complex, you know what I mean? Which just more story arc building for his character, I would say. Yeah, this bugged out, Craig. But yesterday was the Point Break anniversary, so we got bigger fish to fry.
For reals.
But you have anything on that, on the fire speech, the Bodhi? It's like, do you trust me? Speech.
It certainly sets the seeds for what we kind of see, where I guess things unfold without giving away too much spoilers. The rest, Bodhi's crew is starting to become nervous. As you said, Bodhi is no, we're going to do this. It's us against the system. We're going to stay on point. He still tries to turn Johnny Utah over as well, get him to switch sides. The other speech you coming to in the plane before the jump. Not full on speech, I guess, but another classic moment that always stands out. So I just think it again just adds more credence and weight to Bodhi's character. Like, he's not just the standard gang leader. We're going to take this. We're going to do this. This guy is driven by an ideology, something that is important to him, and sees himself, I guess, as one of the last true rebels for freedom. That's
he's kind of got like that Robin Hood kind of like
it is Robin Hood and surfboard, pretty much
philosophy. You know what I mean? And as Gaz said, so the next morning they come and pop up on Utah for the end of summer ritual, which is like the jump. out of the plane. But before that, he has the issue. We won't do too many spoilers into it, but he has the issue with Tyler, right? Where she finds his badge the night before and figures out that like most of the stuff he told her. Spoiler alert: this is also very predictable. That she figures out that most of the stuff he told her is his undercover cover story. You know what I mean? Not really rocket science to figure that out. But the jumping scene is awesome. So I know Honest Trailers and Cinema Sins have got on this because there's a couple of different skydiving scenes, and obviously they're like talking as they're falling, like having this dialogue. Obviously, you can't have conversation when you're skydiving because of the volume of the wind as you're free falling. Yeah, Red Dawn is fire. I see you guys talking Red Dawn in the chat. No, yeah. This is
I unfortunately have Greg.
No talk about it on this channel, guys. You talk about that. You talk about that abomination on Mosh Shinobi. So Johnny asked Bodhi who packed his bag, and so Bodhi switches his bag with his, and then all of the ex-presidents, they all switch bags before they give it to him, guys. I thought that was sick. That was a fresh detail.
Yeah,
because they obviously wouldn't be able to fake that, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So the infamous skydiving scene for Drew Beeson and all the Ted Braden, DB Cooper Heist fans, of course, got to get that skydiving in there. It's a couple of the sickest skydiving scenes. Really haven't seen too many in other movies other than like Drop Zone with Wesley Snipes. I wouldn't really be able to say how many other movies have like decent. Oh yeah, the bank robbery scenes are different, Greg. We covered those, and we'll be covering them again. So after the jump, Bodhi puts Utah in the van, and he shows him that ancient mobile VHS security cam. Guys, that thing was like the size of like a computer from the 70s. And,
back in the days of Merlin again.
Of course, Roadhouse. And that's the Tyler kidnapping video with Rosie. And I thought the interesting thing about that, guys, is like how Rosie takes the camera and shows his face on camera. I'm just like, okay, like some things about the heist make sense, but even back in 91, why would you allow that footage to be out there on you? Yeah. It's like, I'm clearly a kidnapper, and if I get caught for this, like you already know that the cops have investigated you. They already chased you out of one bank robbery. It's like, how much evidence are you going to create yourself and just have out there existing? But it's Point Break, so you have to suspend, reality, as Gaz was saying. But that forces them, and we won't blow it too much, to one of the best heist scenes in the movie, where Bodhi forces Utah with them in on the bank job, the last one, to, we'll just say, to hit the vault, which is against Bodhi's rules. It's never hit the vault.
Against his operation, isn't it?
Yeah. So Bodhi breaks. You can start to see that Bodhi's, his sound judgment and reasoning is he's taking too much risk, to be in an Act 3, and he's starting to kind of crack at the seams. We know how that one ends. We'll just say, as that one progresses, Pappas lays out the director when he comes back to after the scene where they're going to slap the cuffs on Utah. We won't see why. And essentially, Utah and Pappas know that they have to go catch them before they bounce. So they pull up on him, loading up the rest of the money into the plane, trying to make the escape to Mexico. We don't really have to blow too much of what happens there, guys. It's kind of the climax scene, but we'll just say it's a massive shootout that, it's pretty predictable that we'd all be expecting at that point in the movie.
Yeah, it is. You can see where it's going. It's pretty much to set up the change into the final act.
Yep, absolutely. And then that's the final act is kind of Utah jumping up there with Bodhi. I think it's just Bodhi, Roach, and Utah, right, at that point. So they're out of the jump. We won't really blow too much of what happens, but you guys will have to watch the rest of it to pick it up for there. But it's another absolutely insane skydiving scene, probably much more intense than the first one, which is just kind of like a chill, whatever one, just to get the jump experience. But yeah, it's interesting. Bodhi goes through the rest of that. It's interesting. Utah goes through the rest of that movie with the knee injury because he does some pretty much insane stuff from there on out. Multiple jumps. I guess one into the water, but multiple jumps and some heists. So yeah, man, it's the most insane movie ever. Big ups to Kathryn Bigelow. Definitely want to see if we can reach out to John Philbin, via Lauren. I know they've done some great interview. Check out Philbin over there on Average Superstar TV. He played Nathaniel in Point Break. A little bit so I'll go in a little bit about my conversation with Peter Iliff, the writer. Wall Street was there with me for that. He came to San Diego, and I was asking him about the original production of Point Break, which was supposed to be Ridley Scott, Mark Wahlberg, and who was the other dude? Ridley Scott, Mark Wahlberg, and some other actor. It's all on Wikipedia. You guys can look it up. But I think that was 84, if I'm not mistaken. So it was supposed to be a way earlier, and then it obviously fell through. So I was just wondering if he had any attachment to like one version of Point Break or the other. Obviously, what became of the film was Kathryn Bigelow, executive produced by James Cameron. Let's give James Cameron some give James Cameron some credit here, because I know his new stuff is probably not his best stuff in our opinion, but like still created some of the best sci-fi action movies of all time. Still executive produced Point Break, which is insane. You know what I mean? At one point, the guy's action was just gold. I think you might be frozen, guys. Okay, you're good now.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah. You were frozen for a second. Think I did see Lords of Dogtown. Yeah, so I met Peter Iliff, and I got to ask him that question. So he's the writer of Point Break. He's the writer of Prayer for the Roller Boys. It's super chill, dude, super down to earth. So yeah, I got to ask him that question. I just kind of asked him if he had any attachment to either production of Point Break. He basically just said that because he was a Hollywood writer at the time that he was writing other projects. And so I think it's just like when you're a writer, you're just kind of waiting to see if your thing goes to execution. And you know what I mean? So for him, he was just working on scripts, and which was cool. Definitely a cool guy, down to earth guy. Those guys are both super chill. And then, I'm trying to think if there's any other stuff. I mean, other than I used to skate. Of course, I saw that. Yeah. I think it was, I can't remember. I think Wahlberg might have been Utah. I'll see if I can pull it up for you guys real quick. If you have any other notes, you can feel free to run through them, Gaz, or we could come to our ratings.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till we come through the ratings. I do have some thoughts on something, but I'll behave. But I just threw that out there about Lords of Dogtown. Being a punk hardcore guy as well, and into skate.
Yeah.
So
Close to production in '86 with Matthew Broderick, Johnny Depp, Val Kilmer, Charlie Sheen, all considered to play the Johnny Utah character, with Ridley Scott directing. However, production fell through. So I just always think that's interesting, because '86, you're talking about a way different Point Break with Johnny Depp as Utah, or Sheen. Imagine Sheen.
Yeah.
It's not really what anyone thinks of with this film, but 4K. Go watch the trailer. 4K is 4K Steelbook is on Amazon now. It's crazy. Of course, you get the Blu-ray in there. I think we can pretty much come to our ratings, guys.
Yeah, I'm an 8 out of 10, and I'm going to throw this on as well. Which is your favorite scene in the movie? Mine personally is actually that shot of the waves in Australia near the end of, at the end of the movie, and that exchange Bodhi and Utah have. I thought it was a really nice close.
Yeah, I want to remake that as a short film, actually, on the PXF channel. But yeah, we really didn't talk much about that scene. So when he does the "Us Against the System" speech, he talks about Bells Beach, Australia, which is supposed to be the 50-year storm. It's the other mythos of the film, which is Bodhi catching that 50-foot wave from the massive, 50-year storm, or whatever it is, 100-foot wave, much like the big wave in the Escape from LA. But It's my understanding, guys, that that's actually shot in Oregon, and when they have Bodhi take that massive wave, kind of spoiler, and they have that dude take the dive, that was like a pro surfer that took that dive for that scene. So yeah, so there's a bit more. I mean, that's filmed nowhere near Australia, but it's an awesome ending. So it essentially ends with Utah has the injury. We can at least say that, and then Bodhi allows Tyler to be dropped off there, but Bodhi still gets away because he has the getaway cars. It's essentially how we left it until you see the final scene that Gaz discussed. Utah also throws his badge away when he leaves, so he pretty much leaves the service. He's just going to be surfing now or whatever. We'll get to the questions in a sec, guys. We're just wrapping up. But man, very difficult to say. I'd always thought that it was that end loading the plane shootout to the jump over Mexico, but that gas station scene is freaking awesome when he's lighting the car on fire, and he's just kind of like they have those sick pans of him just he lights it with the lighter and he's just like spraying the gas. So probably one of those two scenes, but there's so many good ones, and also that heist with Utah, that's also one of my favorites as well, just because of the back and forth dialogue. You know what I mean? So I know I gave you a 3-scene answer, but
no.
You're asking a Point Break fanboy.
Yeah, well, hell, man, you're used to my rambling. Well, I'll give you like like 3 questions in one or 5.
Yeah, one of those. I mean, it kind of changes. I always it was that plane shootout, but this last time I really liked the gas station thing, and then and that last heist with Utah is always super dope. So
I think why the end scene's always stuck in my mind is just because of the relationship between Utah and Bodhi. I know I've gone on about that today, but it's just like how Bodhi just lets him have that moment. They catch the 50-year wave, from the 50-year storm. Sorry, and I just thought, man, what a close to the movie, and just the way that's shot as well. And you see the waves. That's just always
in the rain. So there is a little bit more I can give Gaz on that scene. So at that time, Patrick had left and I think started filming the next movie. So that's why his hair was long. Or no, he cut his hair. It was shorter. Excuse me. So, but then you think about it, like Bodhi's on the run now, so he's also in disguise. So it kind of worked, even though he changed his hair for the new movie. It still kind of worked for Bodhi's. So there's a little bit more there. And then I think Keanu might have even been working on another film at that point too, because they filmed that scene way after the rest of the principal shooting. So there were a couple of reshoots in Point Break, but I can do rating if you want to, guys.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 8 out of 10, me.
Yeah, same. So it has a 7.3 on IMDb. Guys can't really see it because of the blur, but 8 out of 10 for me too. I'm anywhere between an 8 and a 9. If people were giving it a 10, I'd not be mad. I mean, this is up there for me, and this is one of our top heist movies ever, along with Heat. We did have a question about the Warriors. Yeah, I can see the Warriors as a PXF classic. I like the Warriors a lot.
Yeah. It's got some moments for sure. Definite big influence on many things. So yeah.
No, we're down. I mean, I don't know what our Baldwin movie would be. Like Glenn Ross has that one scene. He's pretty good in The Departed. I don't know. Oh no. We could definitely do Beetle. I guess that's the Baldwin movie. It's Beetlejuice, of course, because we'll do Beetlejuice in September. So maybe if you guys want us to do Beetlejuice OG, we'll put it on the PXF Classics. This is not funny, Slipknot. Did that piece of crap ever come out? That's not funny, bro. Don't do my man Baldwin like that. Departed. Oh wait, I forgot he's in The Good Shepherd. Yeah, that was sick. Point Break is underrated, but a lot of people know how epic it is. Yeah, a lot of people. I don't know. The comments are the comments kind of jumpy. 8 out of 10. Yeah, but drop your Point Break reviews below. Gaz, any final thoughts on the classic?
Just I feel it's always going to be a cult classic. I think it was one of my dad's favorite movies, actually, as well.
Hell yeah.
Just this, folks, is as I say in every review we ever do, drop your recommendations for us to add things to the list or look at, which I know some of you have already been doing. If you do know of any of the surfing movies as well, definitely drop them in, because off the top on the fly, I cannot think of that many. I'm just wondering if there is any other
I did. So there's those ones I was telling you about with Philbin that he like. So he made one or two before Point Break, and I do believe I have them on my watch list. And then I think there was a couple that came out after too. Looks like The Surfer 2024. I guess that's a Cage movie. The Surfer 2024. I don't know if it came out yet. I think it did come out. That's a new Cage movie where he's some like old surfer dude. And then, excuse me, pretty sure.
We could take a look at that, The Surfer. Sounds interesting.
Gaz and I need to do Napoleon. Of course, there's Nosferatu coming out, guys. We'll toast The Crow for you in August. Beetlejuice in September.
So slow down for The Crow.
North Shore from '87. That's one of the, I believe that's one of the Philbin surfer movies, one of the big ones, and I believe there's a couple more, maybe 2 or 3. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we want to add those to our repertoire. Then there's all the other stuff related to Zodiac, and then Gaza and I have a couple things in our backlog. Of course, we always have PXF classics. But let's try to do the Kamui test next weekend, guys. We'll do the dual stream. Once we get dual streams back operational, guys, everything will be running. Just, make sure audio and video is good, guys. Let us know if there's any issues on the viewing end, as always. Like, sub, share, memberships below. Graphic novel on Amazon. Point Break Steel book on Amazon. Hold on 1 second, guys. We're getting hacked.
Oh, is he back? Amber, don't suffocate yourself in the sweat.
We got
Oh, Mr. President, you're back.
I'm not a crook. So we have special guest Ronald Reagan, aka Bodhi. We had to do this one big for you guys. We had to make this PXF.
Expanded the budget.
Special effects, baby. Look at
really stepped up, man. Yeah, those $5 I sent the other day. It's really come in, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a theatrical Bodhi mask. This is PXF. I wish, dude. I liked how when Bodhi was talking, like his mouth was moving. I can't get the. He got the theatrical version. Let's see, Shadow, Hunt for Red October, Reservoir Dogs is on the list. PXF classic. I saw a movie called Italian produced Anthropophagus. Sounds interesting.
Dude, here's
not a crook.
Dude, here's a random one I've just remembered. Folk show. So back in the day, and Ross has mentioned this on some of the other reviews. We used to do a radio show together where we used to interview underground musicians, metal bands, hip hop, everything. And we had this band on from Sweden, and I cannot remember the name, which is probably a good thing because that shows just how good that show was at the time. But the dudes, I know they were obsessed with Point Break because the singer wanted to be referred to as Mr. President. Do you remember that one, bro? Where that band we interviewed way back in the day on the radio show when they were obsessed with Point Break. I think they were Swedish. I can't remember the name, which is probably a good thing because that just shows how good that show was. But that guy kept wanting us to refer to him as Mr. President. Remember that? We were just
I vaguely remember talking. It wasn't Septica, was it? Septica?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't them.
Yeah, they were up north. They were in Norway or something. Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, no, those guys know their stuff. But yeah, guys. Like, sub, share, drop your Point Break reviews. I can't breathe with this mask on, but I'm not a crook. We wanted to make it. We wanted Bodhi to come through special to make this one epic for a PXF classic. Yeah, you take it from there, guys.
Yep. Yeah. Well, thanks y'all for coming through while Ross just suffocates himself live on stream.
Feel like Donald Trump under there.
Yes, sweating profusely. He's still putting on the face.
Sleeping through my trial. But yeah, guys, that's it. Like, sub, share. Point Break, Steelbook below, trailer below. Watch it free on YouTube Prime. Feel free to leave your Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Feel free to leave any recommendations in the comments below or in the live chat. Coming back soon for a Ninja Kamui dual stream on Mashinobi?
Oh, definitely Ninja Kamui. Greg, you got to get on that, man. It's sick. It really is. Get on that. And apparently there's a new I've forgotten the name. A new martial arts movie where the guy there's a scene. I did see the trailer. They're fighting like in an alleyway, and the guy kicks up a cig and catches it in his hand, no problem. And the cig's is damage it all. Totally over the top and exaggerated, but looks sick.
Man, I want to watch those new Watchmen animated movies. I don't know if they came out yet. I know the trailer was on YouTube. I'll have to Google and find out when the release date is. That Terminator Zero on Netflix, guys, next month. So we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that reviewed for the channel. I'm watching The Boys right now. If you want to watch some anti-woke stuff, watch The Boys. But yeah, that's what we have coming up new wise. Otherwise, it's just gonna be PXF classics, maybe some Kurosawa at some point, and eventually maybe we'll get to some more Zodiac related movies such as Dirty Harry and Vigilante Wise and some of the other Zodiac references. But that is pretty much all, folks. Point Break 1991, the greatest heist film of all time. Heist movies achieve their 90s genre pinnacle. Wanted to make sure we got this one because the actually anniversary was yesterday of the Point Break release, so we wanted to commemorate the new Steelbook, and rest in peace, Patrick Swayze, the GOAT, the greatest anti-hero villain of all time. But shout out to everybody coming through. Appreciate you guys. Like, sub, share as always. We'll have new Zodiac shows, interviews, and more content coming soon. Just best bet is like and sub. And yeah, guys.
All right. Peace, y'all. We'll see you on the next one, and much love.
Paradigm Review Show. We're out.